Yes, people. What's going on? Welcome back to United View. Welcome to another morning view, man. It's our first day of officially being a Premier League team for next season, even though it's actually not. I don't think it's like a mathematical, that's 100%.
No, definitely not. No,
it's actually not that. But just in the grand scheme of giving us something to cling on to and something to celebrate and just be a bit shameless, we've decided that it was last night. So I hope everyone's good. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. MWK36 says, big up, gang. We are staying up, says Lil Yo-Yo. Tom, straight in. Onana has to go. Shout out Ash. Ash says, morning. Hope everyone is well and have good health. That's a really nice comment. Big up to you.
Way to start the day.
Yeah, exactly. And Jeremy, big up to you, man. Says, UV fam, good morning. Smash a like as the guys are late. Yeah, just had to.
It was my fault.
Change.
I'll hold my hands up. I'll hold my hands up. It was my fault this morning. There is a word called accountability, Flex.
Oh.
And that's what we live with. It was my fault. It was my fault this morning. I made a mistake.
Yeah. And you rectified that mistake, and here we are.
Yeah, and I've fixed it. We're back. No problem. Yeah,
exactly. Javid says, morning, Flex, Owen, and UV fam. Ruben Amorim, Red Army. I don't know if they're doing a song or just saying the different stuff, but obviously a lot of support for Ruben Amorim, of course. And Jeremy also says, big up Owen as well. We've got Owen late. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't late. I was on time, but I made a mistake, so that made us late.
Yeah.
Later.
We're going to talk Alejandro Garnacho, of course, with Ruben Amorim, his quotes after the game. And a lot of us didn't really realize because we're so caught up in the game of what was going on. We didn't really have time to realize that Garnacho walked off and didn't come back, allegedly, or maybe definitely. We'll talk about that. Onana's time, it's up. A lot of people scathing analysis on Andre Onana, including me. I don't know how you could watch that and not come to that conclusion. And actually, just in general, it didn't take long. Also, the comps clip has gone out of just all the high-profile mistakes he's made. And actually, when you watch it, it's scary because there's a few in there you forget about.
And it's not even all of them as well. It's not
even all of them. No, it's not. No. It's not even all of them. So, yeah, not great. But let's start. Already, I've seen people on social media and in the chat, Diva Garnacho. I mean, it's very fitting, isn't it? Diva Garnacho. Yeah. What's going on? What has Ruben Amorim said? Are people making too much of this, or is it a valid point?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Alejandro Garnacho, he was the player that was sacrificed, of course, after Patrick Dorgu getting sent off. One player has to go to get back to the back five, back three formation. And it was Garnacho, which, to be fair, watching the game, it did get a bit of a negative reaction inside Old Trafford. Some people were like, I should have taken off Hojlund, should have done this, should have done that. Garnacho himself reacted on social media, posted this on his Instagram story. Just simply a picture. Yeah, just simply a picture of his face. You know what I mean? With the nose down. And I checked that because you never know nowadays. But I checked on his Instagram; it's still up this morning, as of this morning. That story. So there's that. And then, of course, he walked straight down the tunnel as well. And Ruben Amorim was asked about it after the game. He, when asked about Garnacho going straight down the tunnel, he says, "You're making the connection with Rashford, right? I'm going to speak to him about that."
Yeah, he knows. He's onto it, isn't it?
He knows. Yeah, he knows what the situation is. Now, he did explain himself as to why Garnacho was subbed off after Patrick Dorgu was sent off. He said the thinking was that we are playing more in the 5-3-1. I know that it is a risk because you're taking the only player who has very 1-versus-1 pace, but I felt the team was okay and in control of the game. We had to take someone off, and we also had to think about set pieces. So maybe that's why he kept on Hojlund or Xerxes just purely for the height as well. I mean, look, we did score from 3 set pieces last night as well. So look, he's explained that there, his reasoning. How do you feel about it all? Because there's kind of two-pronged part of that, isn't there? There's one which is going down the tunnel. It forces Flex to sneeze. That's what it was about. Bless you. And the second part is obviously the reaction on social media. Now, in terms of the reaction that I saw last night, it was, I think, the majority, not all, but the majority were going, going down the tunnel thing. Okay, sometimes people are, bless you, people are unhappy, and sometimes they go down the tunnel. You see it quite a lot nowadays. Modern footballers, they get substituted, they're throwing the jacket around and they're doing all that kind of stuff. The thing for socials, I just don't. Is that really necessary? You've just won a game. The team's in a bad moment. Do you need,
Sorry.
maybe having an allergic reaction to the bullshit of it all? What
Yeah.
do you make of it all? Do you care? Don't you care?
I didn't realize, was that social media post straight after the game, or was it like this morning, or was it? Do
It was
we know
straight
when it
after
was?
the game, as far as I'm
Straight
aware.
after the game.
It's still up as of this morning.
It's still up. Yeah. I First of all, I didn't even realize that he walked off. That shows you, what our focus should be in that moment. A player's gone off. It's all about the team. It's always about the team over any individual. Is he pissed off that he was sacrificed? Yeah, of course. He wants to play, and he was doing all right. He was winning some fouls. He was doing all right. But essentially, it was the right decision. It's as simple as that. Like, the managers explained it. We've gone on to win the game, and actually, that's exactly what we said. We said it'd go 5-3-1. It's not something he hasn't done before. He did it when we went down to 10 men against Arsenal, and actually, Garnacho went to right wing back that day because Dalot was obviously got sent off. So he put him there for a little bit before he made another change, and then he changed it. So it's not that, and then I think Garnacho was sort of in that midfield three, but on the right of it, and did. So it's not that Garnacho can't play it, but in this type of game, it's true. Like, we were in control. I feel like in the context of this, I do understand. Look, Hojlund was a disaster class. He was again, and you could argue, well, maybe put Xerxes up there, and at least you keep Garnacho in there. Because again, you're losing your pace, you're losing 1v1, someone who can get at someone. But I don't think it. I think people are more onto this because Garnacho's just got a little bit of a streak of doing this, of just some little things about
pattern of behavior, isn't there?
Yeah, and this isn't make sure he's not. He needs to be part. I wouldn't be like, he can't be in the team for the next game and all of this stuff. All it needs to be is a conversation of, bro, we're all one. I know you're pissed off that I had to take you off. I get that. If you're happy to come off, there's something wrong, as a lot of coaches say. If players are running off really happy, they're getting subbed off, something's wrong. So I've got no problem with showing a bit of bite. So I don't need to go over the top with that. But all it needs is Amorim to literally have that conversation. And he even prepped it. He was like, I'll have that conversation, and you can ask me in the next presser, because they will. And he said, yeah, I spoke with him. He's good. He was just frustrated, which is clear. He was in a good moment. I had to make the best for the team, and we move on. That's it. So, what I mean? I don't really see it as that deep. But he has made it about himself a bit, though. You know what I mean?
Well, this is what I mean. I think this is maybe where the frustration comes from. You getting subbed off because the team's gone down to 10 men. You talk to some fantastic football players, they'll say, yeah, it happens to everyone. You know what I mean? It happens. And it's a lot of the time, it's not an indictment on you. Sometimes, like Ruben Amorim saying there, it's just tactical, or it's just, well, we've got to do something for now. And, it happens. It's an unfortunate situation. So in terms of the walking down the tunnel and that, I just look at it all, and it may be like you said, this is where you have the word with the player, and you just go, mate, look, we're really struggling this season. We're playing badly. We're not getting results. Look where we fucking are in the league, and just like we've got a win, overcoming adversity. We've got the win. It's a lot better if we're talking about the fact that we've overcome that obstacle and we're focusing on the win. The fact it's just extra noise that doesn't need to be there. Is very avoidable. We will talk about Andre Onana in a bit and how many situations he's involved in that are avoidable on the pitch. But it's one of those ones where it's like, and this is KG's brought this up before, and it is true. Different generation, I get it. Different generation where it's like, go to social media, but do you need to? Do you really need to? He's got, I think I saw on Instagram this morning, he's got 12 million followers. Do you really need to go to 12 million followers?
He's got 12 million now.
Yeah, and put up a picture of yourself like that in the rain,
crazy,
head down on the story. Do you need to do that? Do you need to? And again, it's not the first time that he's done that. I mean, a couple of times under Ten Hag, wasn't it? Story here, story there. Largely, it was when he would be subbed off, or if he was, started on the bench or something. And you go, and I get it, because you do look at like Hojlund in that game and go, oh, it was rubbish. Like, really? Like you could have put Xerxes in front, like you said, have Garnacho on. But at the end of the day, the head coach, that's his decision to make, not yours. And you do have to accept it. And like you said, it's not good optics. And it's just avoidable. And
Well,
this is when
also,
you would go to you go to a more senior player in the team. Would they do that?
no
Would
way.
they do that?
It shows
No.
his naivety, and it shows that he still has this. And this is where you can talk about it. Again, some people say you don't have to overanalyze it and make a big thing out of it, but we can talk about what it is. And it does display an element of selfishness. It does, an element of that, because if you're going to post after the game, especially in the manner of the way that we won that game, let's be honest, you should be posting hard fought win, boys. Well done. We go again next week.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? With but because you're putting it about you, your first thought in that post is you're talking about yourself. You're not talking about the team. The team has just won a very difficult game. Shouldn't be a difficult game, but it was. And you should actually, depending on what type of person you are and what your headspace is, some people can, I'm not going to say take joy at being the sacrificial lamb, but sort of accept that and play that and be like, listen, we won the game. Well done, guys. But the fact you're posting yourself just disappointed, you're making it about you. And I get it's your own personal social media, but it's a team thing. The team had to come through a difficult moment. Post up Dorgu. Post up you and Dorgu in training saying, head up, bro. I got you.
Yeah.
Or add to the camaraderie. By doing that, the optics is you're still on a high horse a little bit. I shouldn't be the one to get taken off. Should have been Hojlund. He's shit. Could have been Xerxes. He's rubbish. Or that's how it comes across.
If you've got nothing positive to say, then don't say anything in that situation because it doesn't benefit you. And even to the point, like you know, we even said it about Marcus Rashford. You know, after games we were winning, and he was posting positive things. Even we were sort of saying, do you really need to sort of say that kind of stuff? Because I get that you're doing the supportive teammate thing, but it does still have the optics of you're trying to make it about you, and it's kind of unnecessary. And arguably what Garnacho has done there is worse. Now, it's his social media. It's his right. He can post what he wants. But like you said, it's also a team game, and we're having this conversation the morning after Manchester United have won. And the reason is because he's put that out there and people are now talking about it. So it's just, and it's not the first. If it was the first time, you would go, look, it's, you know, just calm down. But and before we sort of liking tweets about, I think it was Ten Hag,
it's always a story. There's always something, bro.
You go, you don't.
I thought he came off Twitter. I thought he shut that down for a bit. Well, maybe his Twitter's still off.
You would just say, like, mate, you don't need to. You don't need to. And also, of course, with Ruben, he's already been dropped before Garnacho prior to the Manchester derby, right? So it's not as if he hasn't been spoken to by the current head coach about discipline issues or trying hard and training, whatever. It's just, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And yeah, Ruben, like I said, will have a word. I don't know, like you said, if it's as far as, he's going to be dropped from the match day squad.
No, he shouldn't be. And this is one of the one where I know I'm always like with the Rashford thing. I was like, I don't care if we're short. You've done whatever. You don't get back on the bench. This one's not as far as that. Like, we are short. We don't have anyone. And this doesn't meet the threshold of like one match you're not on the game. You're not on the bench or whatever. I don't agree with that. But what I do agree with this time is, again, Stern talking to, because like I said, Ruben has proved he's onto these things. He's onto the way you eat, the way you interact with the group. Are you positive to the group? Are you doing the right things? And he's praised Garnacho. And that's why we have to talk about this, because the praise for Garnacho, the other way round, was there. And rightly so. Ruben spoke about his improvement, his change in attitude. He was straight back into the team after being taken out at the same time as Rashford against City. And he responded. So when he does things like this, that basically goes against that, no matter how small or big, when he does something that basically counteracts that positive camaraderie, that everyone going in the same direction, it's all about the team, then you're just speaking to. Doesn't have to be public. I agree, that's where Ruben's got to be smart. He handled it well yesterday. Don't try you trying to do the Rashford thing again. No, it's not that. I'll speak with him. Do you know what I mean? I'll speak with him.
He might. I wouldn't be totally shocked if he's on the bench next game. I mean, he's been on the bench recently for less anyway. So
yeah,
you know,
and on the bench is like it's selection as well. It's like, okay, you can pass that off as like, no, just selection wise. When he could show a message and listen, you're going to be on the bench the next game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked because again, he does. It's one of those things, isn't it? He does need to nip that in the bud by just sort of going, look, guy, I understand you're frustrated and I understand it was unfortunate, but mate, you're you can't go on social media every time I take you off, and that's to
Yeah.
everyone, and without it being consequent, you just can't. This just can't. Nah.
Yeah. No, that's true. We have got over 1,100 people watching, which is great. Over 200 likes. So let's, like someone said there, we've got over that watching. Let's 500. Let's get to 500 now. There's no reason why we cannot get that over the line this morning. Super chat here from actually no, there's a whole bunch of super chats actually. Let's get them all up. Where's Wally says, morning all. At what point does Ruben drop Onana? I'd rather Heaton in goal over him. We are going to talk about that. Hold fire on that because it's a massive talking point. Javid says, Ruben Amorim, not Ruben Amorim Defense League anymore because HR Owen are keeping fan chat receipts. Big up UV peeps. Yes, you've been warned. Yeah. So be careful what you say and what you type in rage and how you come for us. Yeah, be careful. Shout out Terence Pace. Terence says, this is the state we're in now. Happy not to be relegated. How the mighty have fallen, of course. Yeah, that's right. Onana just, oh my God. Also should have subbed Rasmus instead of Garnacho. And look, people I get that. You could have put Xerxes up front and just keep Garnacho in there for the counter. We still probably would have been all right in the game. It wasn't like Rasmus ended up proving why he should have stayed on. So it's a fair comment with it that way around, but it still doesn't excuse, I think, Garnacho's reaction to that, especially when the team won. Especially they all dug in. They found a way to put the mistakes out of it and get an important win. If they lost, again, you still argue, mate, we've just lost. You're adding more misery. Everyone's going in on us and you're doing that. But at least you go, well, we lost. It didn't even work, but we won the game. MWK says, I posted the full clip under UV Twitter. He changed top. Yeah, because I did see him. He points to his top, but even that. But I'm thinking that the fact that Ruben says I will speak to him would suggest to me that there's a conversation to be had. He's not happy about something. Otherwise, he would have just said, "No, guys, it's not a big deal." He went down the thing and he come back second half, no problem. But he said, "I will speak to him." You're trying to make it like Rashford, but I'll speak to him. That shows us that there's something there, and it wasn't just he went to change his top. It's nothing. I would say. Eminem says, what makes it worse for me is Garnacho knows he's not competing for a spot with Ahmad, Rashford out. So he was more comfortable with his attitude. Yeah, that's a good point. He hasn't really, got to compete with those guys anymore. So he should be quite comfortable, but he still couldn't take it. It's another learning curve for him, innit? It's another learning curve. Right, Andre Onana, time is up.
Yes, Andre Onana. Obviously, there was a lot of chat yesterday coming out of the game. There's been the compilations on social media. Some of that I'd forgot about, some not even included. You were quite during the game, and even I saw in your fan view afterwards when you were saying basically you did the KG. I mean, I remember at the end of the when David De Gea, I think it was West Ham away, and he fumbled one in the back of the net. KG
Ben Rama
hands over his head. You went, it's got to go. When it's got to go, it's got to go. He said it 10 million times. I'm pretty sure it's on UV clip still. It's got to go. It's got to go. Was that your moment yesterday? Had you come to that point that he's got to go?
Yeah, and really, if I'm being honest, it's before this. I mean, it's not as like signed, sealed, stamped as this, but it's like the catalogue's too strong of errors now. It's in him. It's who he is. And the reason why I'm not surprised is even last year, before he sort of turned all right at the beginning of this season, we've said many times, I said it and people agreed, that every 4 or 5 games or 6 or 7 games might do all right, but then it'll be back to that. He'll always have that. It's never going to go away. There you go. Show says 13 errors in less than 2 seasons leading to goals. Like, keepers make mistakes all the time. Of course they do. But the rate of which he makes his and how significant they are. Not like, could have got down a bit quicker to that, maybe. No, they're like clangers. Like, are you a goalkeeper, bro? That type of, do you know what I mean? And you cannot excuse it. The first season, first couple of mistakes, you go trying to get your feet under the carpet, trying to calm down. But that carried on pretty much all last year. You think he's turned the corner beginning of this season, and he's just back to it. He's back to it. And off the top of my head, like I said yesterday, I could think of the Gibbs White, the 2 against Everton, the 1 against Spurs, the 1 against Brighton, 2 last night. Like, that's just off the top of my head this season. That's 5. It's really bad.
I'm just looking at the compilation now.
Oh, it's so bad.
There's
Because the ones last year in the Champions League were
yeah,
just
there's the ones against Galatasaray in the Champions League, which is literally just a ball in. He just fumbles it into the back of the net. Ridiculous. There's the one against Brighton earlier on this season where it's a cross into the box, just fumbles it right into the direction of the Brighton player. Easy tap into the back of the net. And some of them you forget, and you're like, bloody hell, I can't even.
Yeah. Remember the Copenhagen one?
This is one where he's is this in the Europa League, or he just passes it straight? Yeah, this was against
Casemiro.
Pilsen, against Victoria Pilsen. He literally passes it straight to the Victoria Pilsen player. There's one against Bayern Munich where it's the dive, squirms under his body, goes in.
Doing well in that first 20 minutes as well. And
Gibbs White in the middle of the goal, literally just falls over. Here's the one against Copenhagen in the Champions League. It's the bad pass. Casemiro has to come in and do the sliding tackle.
Casemiro got a red for that.
Yeah, Casemiro gets sent off for it. Galatasaray. There's the one in pre-season where he gets sort of chipped from the halfway line. And then afterwards, it's him going, calm down.
Ironically.
It's just, and then again, there's some in there that have been missed. You know, there's FA Cup final. We forget FA Cup final.
Should never have been ropey.
Thankfully, we're 2-0 up, but you know, it then becomes a dodgy last few minutes. And I mentioned this many times before with him. You know, it's one thing, and a couple of those mistakes there when you pass it out and it goes to the wrong player, and that happens. You know, that happens even with the best goalkeepers because of how football's played nowadays. You're playing out from the back, you're always running a risk. And if you're a goalkeeper or you're a defender, you're one bad pass away from an opposition player being through on goal. So it happens. That can happen. The ones that really concern me and are the most alarming are those ones like against Galatasaray with a free kick earlier this season with the Morgan Gibbs White one, middle of the goal. The one against Brighton, this one where he palms it out, or again, the FA Cup final one. Those are the ones that worry me because that's just goalkeeping. That is just fundamental. Are you good at getting down to your left or your right? Are you good at claiming crosses? Are you good at parrying the shot? I mean, let alone, they're like the glaring errors, let alone when a goal goes against Everton, where you're going, why has he palmed it up into the air? Or with that penalty decision that was Everton for VAR, why is he palming it right back in to trouble? I mean, De Gea used to do it early on in his career. We'd palm it back into trouble. But again, there's no comparison to be made between him and David De Gea because David De Gea, initially, when those mistakes were happening, he was like, was he 20 or something? Yeah. Andre Onana is 28. And this is the thing with that first one last night with Dorgu. I saw people going, oh, no, you're just letting Dorgu off the hook and Dorgu's got some responsibility. Of course he does. You know, there is a percentage of blame there. But you've got Patrick Dorgu, who's 20, playing in his, third or fourth game for Manchester United. Meanwhile, you've got a 28-year-old goalkeeper who's a senior player in that team, experienced pro, played in Champions League finals, and he's making that situation chaotic. And that's what he does. He makes situations chaotic. I said this before too. It's no coincidence that Manchester United, there's always chaos in and around sort of the last few minutes of the game, late goals, late penalties, or what have you, because he's always involved in that. He's always involved. He's always adding that element of chaos. I saw recently, because in the Championship, Burnley, was it James Trafford? He's got this like clean sheet run. I don't know if you've seen this. It's unbelievable. Since like December, he's kept all of these clean sheets. And there was this stat on social media. It was like record amount of clean sheets in a season in English leagues. And he's like second. The top of that list, consecutive clean sheets, was Edwin van der Sar in, I think, 08-09, with like 15 consecutive clean sheets. Do you know how crazy that is? Like half a season.
15 games, we just don't see no one score against us.
Just didn't concede a goal. Like, it was just insanity. And the reason I bring that up is Edwin van der Sar came to Manchester United right at the end of his career, 36 years old. Couldn't even train all the way through the week because he was 36 years old, going into his nearly 40. And but what he was great at, a great shot stopper, obviously, and great goalkeeper, but it was all that communication. If you ever hear Vidic or Ferdinand talk about him, they go, I just never had to worry about him behind me because I knew he's going to talk to me and it's not going to be screaming, shouting or anything like that. It's going to be calmness. But instead of doing that, calm, he's actually calm. And even Van der Sar, he made a couple of mistakes because goalkeepers make mistakes. No one is perfect. No one should expect a goalkeeper to be perfect. But like you said, the consistency of which Andre Onana is making these mistakes is so alarming. And this is the thing, he's not going to get better. He is in his final form right now.
That's what he is. Yeah,
that is what he is. And the trade-off for the distribution and the lack of saves is just not worth it, because even the distribution thing, largely, it's a bit of a myth. Yeah, it's a bit of a myth. All right, cool. He's comfortable with, receiving the ball to feet and short passes in the way that De Gea wasn't. De Gea wasn't comfortable with that, to the point the defenders didn't want to pass him the ball back, under pressure, because they were like, oh, I don't know what he's going to do. But his long passing, no different than David De Gea.
The problem is that the drop off is so big that you forget maybe some of the things that David De Gea wasn't comfortable at. But the main thing, which is keep the ball at the back of the net. It just proves, I don't care what era of football it is, what tiki-taka, play out from the back, the game's changed. The game has not changed in that area in terms of the most important thing still and always has been to save the ball. End of story. We can, it doesn't matter now, this myth of like, yeah, but what you lose with the save might not make as many saves, but it'd be amazing playing out from the back, which will help. Bollocks. Complete, utter rubbish. And you can say that De Gea is still not the answer. That's fine. But replacing him with Onana definitely is not the answer. And I think we try to overcomplicate football, especially in these day and ages, podcasts and there's this and there's content and this, that, and the other. And we have entertainment and we have a laugh and we create great content, right? But I think, and I sound old school here, there's been too much done. I'm old school, me. There's been too much done with this whole, the game's just so different now. Yeah, okay, players might run a bit more intensely, a bit more high press, a bit. Yeah, all right, cool. But listen, football is still the same game. Football is a simple game complicated by idiots. It's a simple, that's a saying that was always said to me when I played. And you get, all of a sudden, Owen, I think you were saying on one of the other shows, like people are going back to, you go long a bit, knock it in a channel or, go and get after him. That's just basics of football.
Yeah.
Basics. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I just feel like with the keeper situation, forget this trying to find someone who's just so good with their feet. Let's find someone who's just a good all-round goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? If the team's set up properly, yes, okay, they need to be comfortable with the ball. I get that. They have to play a little bit more with their feet than they used to. That bit has changed. But the fundamentals of goalkeeping have never changed. They've never changed.
And this is also the other part of it, yeah. So D Witness, who was a big defender of Onana last night, says he isn't great, but this Onana agenda stinks.
It's not
the word agenda gets thrown around so much within football, fandom nowadays. The fact that there is a compilation, he's only been here 2 seasons, and we're not talking like, techniques are maybe a bit off with that one, or we go, well, that's a bit harsh, that's still technically in the corner, or, sometimes when a goal goes in, you go, yeah, but he hit it pretty hard, and it was, he's not that far away. These are massive errors. Massive errors.
And they're consistent, though. That's the problem.
It's a bit like talking about the Garnacho thing earlier on. When you make those mistakes, you bring the conversation on yourself. Roy Keane, if you just do your job, people won't talk about you as much when it comes to that. It's not as if people are like highlighting him and he's making no errors. They've made massive errors,
exactly.
massive errors. And if it was just played out from the back stuff again, I'd be like, well, it is what it is. Sometimes that happens. These are like can't dive or middle of the goal. Like you don't. This is the other part of it. I would also say that in terms of other Premier League teams, I can't think of many other goalkeepers in the Premier League that are making that level of mistake that consistently. I can't. I can't. It's not agenda. It's real. They're real. It's like it's bad.
Shut down the word. Shut down the word. Yeah. Like Nem Green says, it's facts. He's been crap. This isn't something that he's made his first mistake and we're all onto him. I just think I just think Owen, like yesterday, we looked to place blame on him for things too quickly.
Because it was his fault.
If you see it like that, that's up to you. But we're just going to look at what's actually happening, D. I think you're just trying to. You must be just trying to reel us in a bit because You can't see what Onana's been doing and be like, yeah, but everyone's quick to judge though. You can't see that. I just don't get it. D Witness says fair play, lads. So yeah, Onana. Listen, if we're being honest, he's one of the worst keepers we've ever had. And in terms of pound for pound, because we actually paid a lot of money for him, people like Taibbi and Van der Gaal and, people like that, and Tim Carroll, Roy Carroll, and people like that, you go, well, they weren't ever supposed to be the main guy, just, whatever. Who is it? Tim Howard as well, Foster. Like, listen, we've had quite a few. But Onana's one that you go, right, we're getting rid of our number one for this number one. So you have to argue he's arguably the worst keeper we've had.
Well, and on top of that, Flex, we'll go back to that second transfer window, summer transfer window for Erik ten Hag. Holy shit. Like, Onana, Mount, Hojlund. Obviously Johnny Evans was in there, but the three main signings that summer. God. Oh, God.
It's
like
bad.
With Onana,
Bad.
I mean, what was the transfer fee in the end? Was it around 50?
Yeah,
for Andre
just
Onana?
below. Yeah, just below.
And again, coming off of a Champions League final, so that's really
Catfish, mate.
£43.8 million, potential £3.4 million in add-ons. So what? That's why I'm for like sort of £48 million. Mason Mount, 55 plus 5, never plays. Rasmus Hojlund, was it 60? Right, could go to 70 or something. Never scores. Like,
wild. It's wild.
It's just
like Courtstar says, Johnny Evans is the one who actually saved that transfer window. He played the most games out the centre backs last year. So I mean, with all the injuries, and he actually did all right. Imagine that, the free agent Johnny Evans just there to just, do you know what I mean, help us out. Ended up being the main.
But now, and again, with all the positions that we have to recruit for this summer, you do go with Andre now. You go, are United even going to look towards? But are they even going to?
I don't think they will. I don't think they will.
We've all seen those articles. When they go like, no players secure, no players totally secure, but Manchester United don't want to sell. But if they were going to name untouchable players, it'd be Bruno Fernandes, Kobe Mainu, and then they sometimes throw in Onana for that. Yeah. They'll go Onana, because basically by saying it's just not a priority for United to go get another goalkeeper at the moment. But where's the breaking point when it comes to it, right? Because if we have someone that can keep the ball out of the net or isn't this chaotic, that's like 10 extra points in the season, is it not? Because look how many times he's cost us points, those mistakes. How many extra points would we have at this point? It's something worth considering. So I don't know. Like, if this carries on, well, I don't know. I'd be really interested to know what Ruben Amorim would be saying to Will Cox, etc. Of like, this, I need.
How do we look at this? Yeah, exactly. How do we address this? Like Mike says, Onana is so bad. It's as if he could be match fixing. He's doing it on purpose. Courtstar criticism of Onana. Is it a colour thing? Yeah. Is it a colour thing, or is it just rubbish? M Sati says it's karma. Many in this fan base didn't respect De Gea. 2 Golden Gloves and Player of the Year for 4 years. We need to do better regarding the appreciation. I mean, look, I do get why people say that, because it's easy to say, be careful what you wish for. You all hounded him out. You said he's crap, he's clueless, he's rubbish. Go and get someone who's good with their feet. Go and, and I do think there was too much disrespect on David De Gea. I do think, like, at the end, he was making some high profile errors and his confidence was gone. It was like, it's probably time. But I think back to it, we would have been better off still keeping him. Absolutely.
Well, I think the
went to a year out, didn't even play, and then went to Fiorentina. He's doing all right.
The issue is, though, isn't it? It's not necessarily with the departure of David De Gea. The issue is with the replacement of David De Gea, because there's aspects of all of that you could still say, well, it still would have been the right time for Man United to go in another direction, and with the better with the feet. And David De Gea was £375,000 a week, and there's a lot of conflicting information about whether a new contract was agreed, wasn't it agreed, was there an offer actually on the table, blah 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 blah. So we have to kind of, I think, get our minds out of this thing of it's still a binary choice between Onana, De Gea. Like when we say with other products, there are other products available. There are other goalkeepers available. There are
got
other
the wrong one to replace him.
There are other goalkeepers we could have got We didn't. We got the wrong one. We spent a lot of money on the wrong one, and that has now hurt us. But I don't think necessarily it was the wrong decision to go for.
Probably should change that.
What's that?
The match view, that go back one. It's got obviously Dorgu on there, so just.
Oh wow, yeah.
You jinxed that, didn't you? So.
Yeah. I tell you what, curse of the thumbnail. Curse of the thumbnail does
Curse
still
of the
exist.
thumbnail. We had Calvert-Lewin on the thing against Everton the other night. Goes,
yeah.
Great. He's not even playing. He's injured.
Yeah, curse of the thumbnail. Curse of the thumbnail, mate.
Yeah, curse of the thumbnail. But yeah, I you're right. You're right. It was the wrong one. And Kubitsia says, can someone send us a link to how to be a Man United supporter manual? Are able to criticize anything anymore in football? Are we able to criticize anything anymore in football? I mean, really?
No, we're not.
No.
No.
And Cho says 11v11 was atrocious again. Didn't create anything from open play. Still no open play first half goal since December the 7th. Horrid and has to improve. Simple. Can't disagree with that. We had to pick out the positives in a shit game to be like, they would usually capitulate there. They didn't. We had to win. Yeah. So fair play. But everything you just said there, Show, again, exactly. Our centre halves, mate. It was an own goal from Sam Morsey and our two centre backs just scoring some not ugly goals, but do you know what I mean? Nothing from the forwards. And we said that during the games, like the forwards, there's nothing coming from them.
It's one of those ones, isn't it?
Bruno.
Where I get that in the sense that, like you said, there are still not. Where are we? 15th, 14th. It's not going to be great. But it's one of those ones where it's like, look, we said going into the game, we just needed a win, so we got that. Take that. We also said that, in fairness, we have seen with how fragile this team is and how their inability to handle pressure. Going 1-0 down after a mistake, because look at your reactions during the game. When we went 1-0 down, you went, we're going to lose. Because what we're going to do. Then we come back, and actually we reacted pretty well to that. Obviously, get your own goal. Then De Ligt scores. You go, okay, cool. Right, we've done that now. Get to halftime. Red card, that's a setback. Then concede again. That's a setback. And you go, here we go. And then, like, immediately again, what's your reaction? We're going to lose because we don't handle these knockdowns well at all. But the fact that second half, almost immediately, score from a set piece, and then largely actually stifled Ipswich. 10 men, didn't create anything. Game management actually nullified the game pretty well. It's not great, but that's where we are. When we're losing games, which a game like that we would have lost, we bemoan going, just get results. So I don't know if we can necessarily turn our nose up too much at actually getting a result in difficult situations with a bit of adversity.
No.
Particularly when it's a game we knew we had to win. We could not get out of that game last night without a win because we're going, we need 4 wins. And we're like, okay, Ipswich, one of them, Wolves, West Ham, Leicester. They're the 4. Yeah. They're the 4 to be like, all right, get to 40 points. So, yeah. And it's not like, I'm not trying to like justify it or defend it. Or like, oh, so you're saying you're really happy that you beat Ipswich, you're going to get relegated at home.
Yeah, you are.
But also, again, it's like, get your head out your ass. You know what I mean? Look where we are. Look where we are in the league. I'm happy to win a game. We haven't lost in the last 2 games. I'm not doing cartwheels about it, but I'll take it because I can't sit here and be like, just get results. And then we do get some results and be like, well, I'm not happy with the performances.
It's because we're not there yet. We're not there in terms of like, right, now the results are consistent. Let's start looking at this style of play now. Let's start, let's get everyone scoring. Let's do that. Comes after you get a bit of stability in your results.
To win some games.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You can't change anything if you're not winning. It's as simple as that. The main thing you have to change is results. It doesn't matter how you do it. When you're this bad, when you're this down in the dumps, you just have to win some games because that's the only way you can, turn the valve and release some pressure. That's the only way. It's wins. That doesn't matter how. It doesn't mean that the wins are going to fill everybody with confidence to believe that you're on the right track, but it starts getting you up the table. It starts to change the complexion of everything. The players get more confident, and then that's where you start placing more demands on players of, I need you to do more of this. I need that. I need this. You know what I mean? Of course, the demands are still there now, but when you're losing, it's just like Owen said, you just got to get over the line.
And make no mistake, we're still shit. Like it's
Of
not. It's
course
not.
we are.
Yeah, we don't
Of course
change
we are.
anything. But
Which is
also
why it's got to win, because we're still shit.
and it's funny as well, isn't it? Because so we don't score from set pieces, right? Why don't we ever score from set pieces, Flex? And we score 3 in one game. We're not scoring from open play. You know what I mean? It's just take whatever we can get at the moment. Just take whatever we can get, whatever we can do to get 3 points. At the weekend, this is what I said after the Everton game. I'm like, you know what? I thought we were going to lose that game. For the large majority of the game, we were rubbish. Yeah. We've somehow got a draw against one of the most informed teams in the league away from home. I'll take it. Because knowing how bad some of these players are, like Sho says, I've always said it's about sustainable football. And I totally agree, but we ain't there yet. We are
not in the first couple of months when it's been this bad. No,
not now. When we were
that's post
like
summer,
when we're half-heartedly looking over our shoulder, going, I tell you what, if we lose tonight, it's only 10 points between like relegation zone, blah blah blah. Sustainable football, like Ruben will stick with his principles. He's not going to change. You're going. That's why I'm counting out those 4 wins against those terrible teams. 4 wins to the end of the season. Like we're not there at that point. We really are. We are still fundamentally baby steps. And the baby steps right now is not even steps, baby crawling, right? Crawl over the line, get results where you can and get, those cup matches, see if you can put something into that. But we are not in a position to be turning our nose up at wins and be like, we know we're shit. We're rubbish. It's not great. It's not great. If anything, I know we didn't create that much from open play last night, but in terms of recent performances, it's one of the better performances I've seen from United, actually. Outside of the mistakes, because the goals are mistakes, aren't they? The Dorgu Onana one.
Gave them all of them.
And then the second one's to cross in. After that, Ipswich didn't really create that much. Really,
and that's where Ruben talk is when he's saying I felt we was in control of the match. Again, it makes sense what he's saying. I don't need someone on the counter because the game's transition, so we need someone in the 1v1s. We've actually got control of this game. Of course, if it went wrong, hindsight's a wonderful thing. You say, you should have kept on, Garnacho. We didn't have an outlet. You're an idiot. But when he does get it right, at the same time I'm saying about accountability, you've also got to give the praise when the manager makes the right decision. You can't just hate on it and say, like, well, still should have this. No, he made that decision and explained it. 5-3-1. And that's not something he just thought about on the spot. We did it against Arsenal when we went down to 10, 5-3-1, 3 central midfielders, quite narrow, and 1 up top. And it's worked. We got through against Arsenal like that and got to extra time. We got to penalties, should I say. And we've got through this game at home and gone on to win the game. So you can't argue with his record of going down to 10 men. I know it's only a couple of games, but that's the formula. He's not deviating from the plan. We go 5-3-1. And we assess how the game's going. Arsenal was a bit different because that's where we are going to get dominated, and you do need a Garnacho on the break. And actually, he won some free kick. It worked. That worked. And then he got tired. It's come off at the end, I think it was. So that worked. This type of game, again, it shows this shows adaptability. Weirdly, do you know what I mean? This shows when you got to give him some credit because this is a different type of demand, different type of team. We're at home. We're against Ipswich, and we're in the bottom 3. We're still in control. They're not really causing us massive problems apart from ourselves. So let's keep the players on that will kind of keep this game calm. And it worked.
I did see him say that. He said that, it's not how I'd necessarily want to play. And kind of, he even sort of said some of our players might actually be a bit more comfortable playing in a low block kind of thing. But unfortunately, again, you look at the table when we're bottom half, comfortably bottom half. We prior to last night, I think we had 1 win in the last 5 in the Premier League. A lot of losses, a couple of draws. If you're down to 10 men, you've gone 3-2 up. We can't be too proud to be like, get behind the ball, see the game out, get the result. If we'd have scored that goal and then we'd have conceded, or gone on to lose the game from a 3-2 position, the criticism of Ruben Amorim would be, why didn't you shut up shop? Why didn't you just protect that lead? This important game. You just got to get out with the points at the moment. That's where we're at. So I'm not, in a game like last time, I'm not focusing too much on the performances because I'm just like, I know we've said this for months. I know these players, know this team.
and more of it is, like you said, Owen, about when you're going, right, well, we need probably 4 more wins and stuff like that. Because the rest of the games we looked at and went, they're going to be tall orders.
Yeah, we're going to lose more games.
We're going to lose a lot of games. Like even this game against Fulham coming up next, we could easily be out the FA Cup. Going away to Sociedad, I know it'll only be halfway through the tie, but it's not going to be great. We're not scoring. Then it's that Leicester one. Then, going away to Forest, let's be real. City at home might be resurgent by then, the one last night. Then it's Newcastle away straight after that. Those 3 games just there. Forest, City, Newcastle. Then it's the Wolves one. What shape will be
the
in?
licks are coming.
Then it's Bournemouth away. Then it's Brentford away.
Yeah.
I mean, then before you know, it's 3 games. But then by that, though, it just doesn't matter. It's like I say it doesn't matter in terms of like, you're staying up. Everyone knows the Man United are going to take licks. We know we're going to lose. So that when you get those losses, by the time it's like, there's 4 games left, people have worked out who's winning the league, who's going down. It doesn't matter. You got to just focus on, well, we might be out there FA Cup and who knows. But, and Arsenal. Yeah, Arsenal at home. So I don't see there being a little turning point towards the end of the season of like, we picked up a couple of results there. At least we're stable. It will be the same, especially because of the lack of, Hojlund, I don't think is just going to just start doing well. I can't see it. Sociedad is a tough draw. They got a 1-0 against loss last night against Real Madrid. Real Madrid didn't go there and destroy them. You know what I mean? It's going to be a tough game.
Right, and also, this is quite funny. There was this chat about Ruben Amorim about, he's got to change him. He doesn't adapt. Obviously didn't adapt from change the base of the formation last night, but he adapted in the game. How did he not? He had to, particularly in the second half. We got that goal. We just sat off, keep the ball. It's going to a low block, and won the game because of that. And he deserves praise because of that. In that game, obviously there was also a lot of chat, wasn't there, about Rasmus Hojlund coming out of it again. Didn't score. Obviously, there was the talk about him. He should have come off instead of Garnacho, blah, blah, blah. It spoke volumes, didn't it? That eventually, when he did get taken off in the second half, they panned to Xerxes because Xerxes just assumed, it must be me. This is the same Joshua Xerxes that at the end of last year against Newcastle was getting hooked after 20 minutes. And actually, Xerxes, he deserved to stay on yesterday. He did. He was in terms of those two, he was by far the better player out of them. Hold-up play still wasn't amazing, but better than Hojlund because it's non-existent.
He took down a couple out the air that were good, really good touches. The second pass maybe might have lost it or whatever, but just the initial being able to secure the ball. He's just far better at Rasmus Hojlund than that. Far better.
Yeah, and then just, Hojlund just, again, it's the same. It's wrestling here and there. The touch, it's bouncing off him. Lenny Yoro with a brilliant bit of skill, Berbatov-esque. Put it in the box. You haven't scored in, was it 16 games? What do you do?
Yeah.
Do the KG, let it go through your legs, and you're going, hey, strike us in for me, takes that. Just try, be greedy in that situation.
Yeah.
You don't get the ball a lot in the box, so try something. And it's just like we said yesterday. And I know Ruben Amorim's going to try and defend him and say, he needs help and this, that, and the other, but I don't think it's a coincidence that when other players are going in those positions, like Xerxes or even like Chido against Everton, somehow they get more of the ball and somehow they're getting more involved than he is. That isn't wrestling with the centre backs. And I feel like you said that it's almost like this over eagerness to show that you're doing something. And the over eagerness is just a physical contact with the centre back and ending up on the floor. And I think I probably saw more of him getting angry at the referee last night than I saw.
Yeah, exactly. Looking for fouls that weren't really fouls. I mean, maybe one was in there where you go, that's probably a foul. But it's just, again, the willingness to engage in physical combat is just too high. Basically, it said also Fletcher player ratings last night were heavily biased. Interesting. What did you guys think of it? If you didn't see, I thought I was spot on. I gave Onana a 0.
Well, they are your player ratings as well, so they might be biased towards what you think.
Yeah, that's true. I gave Dallo, I gave him a 4. Don't think he was great. I gave the centre backs 2 8s, or I might give the Lit 7 and Maguire an 8 because he got the winner. I gave Yoro a 7. I thought he was really good.
Back 3 did well last night.
Dorgu, I said, look, he's had the 2 biggest moments of the game for the wrong reasons. But in between that, he was playing well. But I said, I'd give him a 3 because, he can't. He's
sent off
banned for 3 games. Bruno, I gave an 8. He was man of the match. Ugarte, I said he did all the ugly stuff. Just did what he needs to do. Solid 6 from him. Hojlund, I think I gave a 2 or something low like that, 3. I think I gave Xerxes a 7. Because I just thought he was at it, just a focal point, worked hard, coming through the adversity and just was committed. So yeah, I don't think it was that biased. I thought it was all right.
I saw it's funny actually because Bruno obviously got man of the match last night. from TNT, and I saw some pushback from that on social media. I mean, yeah, obviously you could have probably
People just
made
like to hate Bruno. We've got to talk about this.
You could have made a reason for maybe like say Maguire getting it. Obviously gets the winner, and he did do well, and obviously defensively was I know we conceded 2, but defensively from those 3 it was a good performance. But yeah, this weird I mentioned it after the Everton game, and he wasn't amazing in the Everton game, but we look to our captain, don't we, to kind of like when you're not playing well, pick you up, create something out of nothing, breathe the spark into life of a comeback. And last night he's involved in every goal. And you could see him at different points, taking the ball off the centre back, shouting at them, get the ball forward or hurry things up. Like, what more are we wanting from him? And like, I get that there's the criticisms of Bruno, the petulance, and he is wasteful and give the ball away and etc. But recently in this team that is so bereft of leadership and it's really poor performances, he is standing up as much as he possibly can to try and lift us up. And you want to use the A word, the agenda word. Sometimes he scores goals or gets assists and people will still be like, yeah, rubbish. You go, well, come on. You know what I mean? It's not going to kill you to give you a little bit of credit. It's kind of
I just what I was saying when we kind of pick on the wrong players. Remember, I was like, some people are still, up Sancho's backside or up Rashford's backside, players who are just not here anymore or didn't work or Pogba or whatever. And, as soon as they leave, up Anthony's backside now or, this, that and the other. And I'm just like, we just keep sometimes, not all the time, sometimes we just go for the wrong players. And if you support these types of players, it means you think that they're the answer to getting us back to winning the Premier League. No, it's all about the moment you're in. And the team's been so bad, you can't go to Bruno's doorstep and be like, well, what do you bring? You can't. You can't do that.
It's not to be like, the response to that will be, well, we're 15th in the Premier League.
Yeah. Where has he actually led us? What's he done?
Yeah. And again, I get that. But in the same way that it's not, it's just not one factor. It's not one player. It's like, take Bruno Fernandes out of that team. Suddenly, I'll tell you what, Flex, we're winning the league. What, with this group?
No, we changed the manager how many times? You've still been no closer to winning the league.
But you know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those ones that actually, again, he's been criticised at different points in his time as Man United captain of, is that really what you want to be looking for your captain to doing? Because when he does, do the rolling around or he does argue, you just go, I don't really want to see that.
I said it, did I? said, oh, come on, Bruno.
You don't want to see that. Or when he has done mad stuff, I remember, it was Luton last year when we were like, we're leading right at the end, and then he smashes the ball to the goalkeeper, and then they nearly score from a result corner, and he does stuff like that. And you go, again, criticize him for that. But when it's, the stuff recently, and it's a shocking team, a poor performing team, you can tell he's doing his best to try and lift us up, which I suppose is the bare minimum. Look, he's on 300k a week, he's the captain. But I just don't understand sometimes this narrative of we'll win a game or we won't lose a game, and he'll have got a goal or an assist or something, and it will be like, oh, it's Bruno. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. I go, at least he's done something. It's better than some of these other players. They don't do anything.
They don't do nothing. And that's what I'm saying. He's getting us out of a hole all the time, in the mud. It's just so basic of like, you can't come for that guy. When you're in the mud, be careful who you go for, because he puts it in every time. He's committed every time. And most importantly, he finds a way to impact the game. He's the most overhated player. Honestly, he is. Like, he gets laughed at in conversations like with the top players, with the De Bruynes and the Odegaards and Maddison, all this shit. And you look at how he impacts the games in this shit team, and he's levels above some of them guys. Maddison can't lace Bruno's boots. Like, I know people say about like, oh, the way he plays and this, that, and the other, the touch. No, like, look at Odegaard. If Saka's not there, what's he been doing? What's he been doing? Arsenal fans getting onto him. He's the captain. Meanwhile, our captain's digging us out. Now, I know, listen, you can say, yeah, but look, they're way up. Look where they are and stuff like that. But what I'm talking about is the impact of your position. Odegaard is there. Where's your creation? Where's your goals? That position, that's what it's for. It's not just all about having a nice touch. It's about impact. If Odegaard played for us in this shit, would he do what Bruno's doing? And if Bruno played for Arsenal in that 10, would he be better than Odegaard? And my answer to those things is no, Odegaard wouldn't do what Bruno's doing. And yes, I think Bruno would be better in that Arsenal team.
And I think
nope and yes, says Hodge. Nope and yes.
It says a lot, I think, about Bruno. That I didn't even like him, in the deep role as the 8. But in terms of like the quality that he brings to the team, I think Ruben Amorim does see it where he's like, well, in that middle of the park, I need someone that actually, has I wouldn't even associate composure with Bruno, but can actually play with the ball at his feet. And he wants him even more involved in the game, doesn't he? And I still say his best position is as close to goal as possible because we've seen his record in terms of scoring goals. But someone mentioned it last night. If only you had a couple of, 2 or 3 more Bruno Fernandezes in the team, I don't think we would be as bad of a situation as we are right now. And if anything, you do feel somewhat bad because, like, in the summer, and he did again, kind of scammed Ineos in the sense of he was never leaving, and he got a new contract. And it was like, well, I want to, I'm getting to this point in my career. How old is he? 29, 30? Want to compete? Yeah. Signs a new contract. We're even worse. We're so far off.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't even. And one thing is, I'm not a Bruno stan as well. If he left because we've got to go in a different direction and get a different type of player, no problem. But again, it is kind of like the De Gea one of as well, though, where you go, well, this is what Bruno does.
But who are you going to replace him with?
You can put the numbers down and say Bruno does this. I saw, who was it the other day? I think Rio had it on his channel, but it was from somebody else posting it of like every season, this amount of goals, this amount of assists, this amount of goals, guaranteed. People act like that's not a commodity in football, like goal scoring and chance and doing that. You need like a couple of staples in your team who do just that. Like the others, yes, cool, build up and look after the ball and stuff like that. But if you don't have killers, if you don't have people who can ultimately get you over the line, you can be too nice. And that's why people like Martin Odegaard are getting criticised. Because where's his killer instinct?
Remember Bruno as well, for the goalpost gets shifted with him quite a lot as well. Because remember, for a while, it's Penandes. He scores penalties. We don't get that many penalties anymore.
No.
So,
And his numbers are still there.
And his numbers are still there. So, that Penandes thing was a bunch of bullshit, wasn't it? So, yeah, I think, like you said, if it was...
Yeah, I did see that. He was knackered. Like, he was fucking running everywhere.
If the decision was made that, he had to move on for the, because we've got to bring someone else in, then fine, no problem. Because, again, not player FC, not attached to one player. But like you said, with the Onana one, it's a great example of it's not necessarily about the player that you move on. It's about the player you're replacing them with. Because if they're that important to the team and they contribute that amount, then you have to be replacing them with something that is just as equal or more, or the potential to be more.
Yeah, and that one, Owen. Take away his goals and assists. What does he do?
It's mad, yeah.
Take away the fact that Harry Kane gets 25 goals for the last 10 seasons. What does he do, though?
Yeah.
It's wild. It is so that one's the craziest one, though. It's not just because, again, it's in context because not everything is about stats. It's not everything's about stats. You do have to look at what you do for the team. I get it, but there are some where it's like when you're talking about difference makers, I think stats are important. That's where if you play as a 9 and you play as a creative player just behind the 9, where your job is to create and score. If you're putting up those type of numbers, no one can talk to you. I don't care. I don't care if man does shit pass and does this and that. When you come to me and say, "Are you doing your job?" You go, "Yes." You go, "Yes." I haven't got a bit of paper. Yes, I am. I'm doing my job.
People like Alan Shearer and Gary Lineker, massive goal scorers. Take away their goal scorers. What do they offer to the team?
Shearer weren't quick though. So what did he? What did he do?
Gary Lineker? Pretty much all his goals were in the box. So what does he offer to the team? Wow, goals.
It's mad. It's crazy. It really is. Let's finish off on a super chat. Last one there. Spacer Die says, the moment Amorim changes his tactics majorly, he'll get the same fate as Eric Ten Hag and Jose. Players need to adapt and hopefully better players in the summer. Well, again, you can see some early signs with Dorgu doing the sorts of things that Amorim would like to see. So there you go, guys. There you go. Big up to each and every single one of you. What the Devil will be later on today, 7 p.m. And what else is going on? Into Friday. Yes, of course. Trinity podcast. And going into another we have a preview going out tomorrow as well for the match against Fulham as well. So Saturday, it's a packed weekend. Saturday. Is the game on Sunday? The game's on Sunday. Sorry, I thought it was on Saturday. My bad. Yeah. But a packed weekend, a packed few days as usual as well. So make sure you guys get involved. Where was we? 443. Come on, guys. We was at 1,500. Push that on the way out. Let's go. Shearer engaged centre backs. Don't do that. Yeah, he did do that. Absolutely, he did. He did do that. But take away the fact that he was strong and he scored goals. What did he do? What did he do?
You know, if he take away his goals and engage in centre backs, what did he do? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Because Bruno's were taking 2 of his attributes away. Goals and assists. What does he do?
Goals.
So being strong
assists,
and scoring. Yeah. What does he do?
And pass for the pass. Not allowed. Yeah, take away that. What?
100%. Big up. And Base Kid says, appreciate all the work y'all do, even if I disagree with some of your takes. Big up. And that's exactly how it should be. Take care, guys. We're out of here. Peace.